Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Everything's still loading, but a little bit more on the ball today. So I was able to get all of my stuff fixed, and we do have to switch this contract over, but the data is still loading. Treasuries are a little bit higher today. I took a step up, and the E-mini is coming down. It's kind of it'll be interesting to see if they decide to pierce this 2620 area again. Move lower. If the E-mini moves lower, it could be very, very, very negative. Anyways, and I think we do have some news today. Let's see here. Friday retail sales. Core retail sales. That should be important. Let's grab the links. Good morning. And this one here. This one. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. Oh yes, and the squawk. And it looks like everything is loaded now. Let me just move these things over to the new contract, which would be S319. Okay. And it looks like the liquidity is definitely moved because those ones were only showing like 30s, and usually it's still loading now. It'll take a bit. Anyways, let me just show you the chart here. So here you have this kind of this level right here, this 20 or so that's been bounced off of a few times, and they kind of pierced it a little bit this morning. If they go down for another dip, this could be really ugly because look at where we are in treasuries in comparison, right? We pierced the key resistance level overnight, so we could move up. Ooh, May will bring a vote to Parliament before January 21st. Okay. How's she gonna get it through though? Questions. Make sure we have the squawk going. No, I see people filtering in now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's split things out so that can I can see everybody.
Hey, so the
There.
job's we done. A job to deliver on the vote of the British people.
Okay. I was just curious. We could, I mean, it's a Friday, so we got to be a little careful. And the market, it going into this level has been extremely range bound. Like they had the move up and then it's settled at 15 and it's been just literally just sitting here for several ticks. So not something we want to mess with. They're probably waiting on the core retail sales. Yeah, I have a little bit of food, so I'm gonna eat that
So I can't hold on
before the
anymore.
news
3
comes.
minutes now to retail sales data for November, seen up 0.2% according to consensus from 0.8. The range minus 0.2, positive 0.6. You've got retail control seen at 0.4 from 0.3. The range 0.1 to 1%. Ex-gas autos, retail ex-gas and autos for November last month coming up 0.3%. Again, BMO looking at this, say their focus on control group, where the consensus is looking for a 0.4 improvement. This would represent a solid showing, but nothing akin to the 0.8% gain seen this summer. Moreover, the willingness of the market to look beyond some of the stronger domestic data in recent weeks points towards a greater sensitivity to a weaker than expected read on the consumer. BMO. Finish the press conference. Minutes ago. Go with retail sales headline, then control. 2 seconds. 0.2%. The headline X autos 0.2% control, 0.9% up from 0.7 revised, higher from 0.3. The X gas autos up 0.5 from 0.7 revised from 0.3. Just to repeat, we saw retail sales up 0.2% from revised 1.1% after 0.8 last month. X autos in up 0.2% from 1% revised from 0.7. Control up 0.9% versus a revised 0.7, and ex-gas and autos up 5% from revised 0.7.
Okay, so those numbers are mostly in line. Sales, what the heck? Okay. I'm going to be a buy right there. Well, I would have liked to have gotten filled at 13.5, but like, that's probably not happening. Probably not happening. If it happens, I'm probably wrong. So let's just see what happens here. There's a 5K that's kind of stacking there at 13.5, but he's not sure. He pulled. Oh man, that's not good.
Financial welcome equivalence. Manager magazine out of Germany says that BaFin, there was no BaFin now ends its investigation in Daimler doing for Daimler. Apparently, no wrongdoing. Manager magazine.
Okay, so that 14 has gone bid again. Now they're hitting the 13.5. Damn it. I think that says I'm wrong, so. This might be that fake breakout again, but I don't know, I'm not sure if that's what they're doing. Sorry, I'm not quite so chatty as normal, but it's just like I feel really focused. It'll probably take a few days to get me back to my normal self.
Related news. That Libyan El Fail field located near closed El Sharara field, working normally. Company.
Well, it really came down there. I mean, it did kind of make an okay move. I think that I only lost one tick on it is pretty good, right? How come these the views here don't reset? Like the Jigsaw doesn't save it. Well, there's a little bit of liquidity down at like 10. That's not even the bottom of the range, is it? We could move down to there. Sorry, not at 10, at like 16 quarters in the 5-year. Now, interestingly enough, Treasuries falling down here, the E-mini has barely moved at all. Well, considering that it's Friday and you're probably getting some options expiring and stuff, it might be a pretty... might not be super great trading. See, they're kind of coaxing me into buying it here. I don't think I want to do it. I'm gonna just, yeah, I don't know. It looks like a potential stopping spot. But having already been screwed over once in a spot that looked almost exactly like this, I'm a little skeptical. Should note though that the absorption is mostly buying. Not mostly. There's more buying than there is selling in terms of stacking and pulling. Good morning. Just see a couple more people filtering in. Nobody's really talking this morning, though. I hope you're all thoroughly bored. So there's a little bit of a bubble in the E-mini. This holds could change things.
Catalytic cracker before I report.
No clue what that means. Uzi's board. What is a catalytic cracker? Can you eat those? Is that like a cracker you can eat? I'm just being silly. Catalytic. I've never heard of that before. That's... Let's see if we can search for it. Catalytic cracker. Fluid catalytic cracking is one of the most important conversion processes used in petroleum refineries. It is widely used to convert the high boiling, high molecular weight carbon fractions of petroleum crude oils into more valuable gasoline, olefinic gases, and other products. Oh. So they're saying that their oil refinery is still not working. Gotcha. Which means they're not going to need the oil. Okay, so E-mini moved through that. So I think the case for selling, granted, the E-mini is going to have to make another move up, but and just us failing there at 14.5 and, you know, around where I took it and everything. I think that the bear case and bonds was just had some very serious damage done to it. Doesn't mean that it's not going to flip around. In fact, there's probably a good chance that at some point we'll get a pullback, but I'm not so sure I want to be involved. And this move down has not been, well, has it been? I mean, I see something like 5,000 contracts to get down here. That's 71.50 when we opened, essentially, and it's at 14. So really like 5 to 7,000, depending on where you're comparing to. It's not a ton in the 10-year. And I'm not seeing like a clear direction in these. It looks unsure. It looks like Friday. That's what it looks like. It looks like Friday. Oh man. Like after this, I think it's going to be really hard to get through my work day. I'm not going to want to do anything. I'm going to be like, it's Friday. Let's just, who cares? And just let it, nothing's going to happen. We kind of had a bit of a pullback and then we came back to this spot and now it's sitting here again. I think we may have just established a range. There is a decent iceberg at 12. It went after.
Rest to the threat of this Brexit. Or well, not seeing any rest to the easy.
Just a heads up. It's under 10. Production month. 7% in terms of clicking in. Seasoning 70. 78. Factoring.
Hmm. So interesting that the big order when we were down there moved up to meet it at in the 5-year. I'll post that one. They were going down, and then there was a big order and it moved up. And the cumulative delta is almost the opposite. Shit. I don't think so. we may just miss out on this move.
Heads up.
Yeah, that was a quick turnaround. I'm really mad. I'm mad that I'm not long at 12.5. You know? $13.5 is the worst spot to get it long, though. They might show us why here in a second.
1 minute.
What's this that's coming through? Capacity utilization rate. Okay.
Ten seconds.
Okay. So that's exactly why 13.5 was the worst spot to buy it.
78 for manufacturing that reading. We have some. Downward to has been downward to 78%. Manufacturing up 1% from a
Nope, Ace is going short again. Do you ever go long? Man, this boy is super bearish every day. 2626. Ugh, okay, so I don't like the way that I just got filled there. You have to, okay.
He's in these things to see it's A level.
Well, the E-mini rose it just a little bit here. I don't even know where the long button is. Oh man. It's the blue one. That offer is pumping itself up awfully much. And there is no reaction to it. And the 5 years still kind of looks like, hey, we're at the bottom and it could bounce there. Granted, it's not quite as much liquidity as it was last time, but... And the 30-year did not come back all the way. The 30-year is a good 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a good 4 ticks higher, so I think that I may still be in a good spot. Well, okay, I don't like that either. So they were able to tick up. A little bit of it pulled, maybe half of it pulled. And now we're getting an iceberg. When they actually did, there was an iceberg. So half of it pulled, but then, so that was like 1,000 that was required to buy up, but then they pushed it back down, and now we've traded 4,500 and it hasn't gone up a lot. That's a lot, relatively speaking. The E-mini did take a move down. Just a very small one. How did you get 2626? You must be on the older contract? Is that what's going on? Okay, so now they tried to hit into 12 and there's a big iceberg there too. That 30-year though looks like it wants to move up.
Marginally heading toward gradual.
The absorption and pulling does favor the buy side. I do see the case that Ace has here for the E-mini to move down. I mean, they had a pretty good buy up there and it just like really fizzled out, didn't it? But there's just not like a bunch of stuff happened and now it's kind of just gone quiet again. So it could maybe go either way. Right, so there the 5-year tried to take 16 3/4 offer. I don't know. I'm just right now for you to have sold it at 26.26. That would have had to have been quite a while ago. Like a good 30 minutes ago. Just need 2 points a day. Are you trading a big clip with that? Okay, so now the 12 is luring. Weak bid, but there's still an iceberg there. More than one. I don't know. More than... Man, I don't know. I guess there's no real way to define big. It was kind of more of a, hey, why don't you just tell us how big of a clip you trade? But you don't have to if you don't want to. I understand that what people would not want to divulge that kind of information. More than one, though, yeah? I don't know what's going to happen here. $2 points a day, even with one contract, you add a new contract every 3 weeks. Well, 2 points would be 8 ticks. So that's like $250, right? Okay, they did trade through to 12. But a reasonable offer at 12. Takes the first profit at 1 point with half in your basket. But in how tight of a stop? So then are you running a 4-tick stop? $100, yeah. Okay, it went offer briefly and now they're stacking. Now the buyers are stacking. Look at that. Yep, 2 to 1. I'm quite surprised that you're able to do it with such a tight stop. But I have noticed that most of the trades that you take are before the market opens. So I guess I can see how you're able to pull that off. Because I was having a really hard time with even 8-tick stop. I think it was 8-tick that I was using there. But I was also doing it during a very crazy market, wasn't I? So. Okay, well, I really liked the way that they bought through that 12.5, but then now it's offer again. It's not like significant, but in the 5-year cumulative delta continues to be buying. They may need to wait for the E-mini to open, but the problem here is the E-mini is going to open in like 6 minutes, so you might not get like the E-mini is probably not going to move a whole lot between now and then. How did I say that weird? Think that in order for treasuries to move up, that we might need to move down in the E-mini. Flip in, get the 2 points and wait for it to sell down. I often get in after you take off for work when it's just steady. Okay, but you avoid that first hour of trading in the E-mini. That's super crazy. Interesting. Because most people are the opposite. But the E-mini just moves too much, you know? And what if, so you only, I'm guessing when you get your 8 or whatever, that then you're just done for the day, right? So if you if the first one loses, then do you take a second one and try and work it until you get to +8? Or yeah, I said that in reverse. I think that Treasuries might need a move down in the E-mini to get out of this spot, but it will be another 4 minutes, and then we're gonna have volatility. No, you don't. So you always just take the one, which is kind of what Uzi was doing. Nope, lose money done for the day. Interesting. And do you really, like, do you live off of it? You were kind of implying that's just your living. Is that actually the only thing that you do, or do you have other income streams? Okay, so there was the move down in the E-mini, and it made us tick up. Oh, we should tuck at lunch. Yeah. Well, we should definitely get together. Even if to... I know there's a couple of other guys in the area too. Because there's, I don't remember his name, but he posts on the Futures IO board quite a bit. And I've spoken to him on Facebook a little bit. He's a nice guy. He's had his rounds. Because I'm always interested that somebody that's doing it completely for a living, because for me it's like I have really, really good times and have really, really bad times. And when you combine them together, it's often just flat. But I've always said, well, okay, so if I'm able to work out the seasonality of it, and I'm able to avoid the bad times, that still means that I could go a good 6 months where you don't really make anything. So I feel like if I was ever going to move this out from being a hobby to being a full-time job, I think at the very least I would need to outright own my house, because I would need to be able to live off of savings for 6 months if I had to, you know? Okay. Well, that's good. There's a 13.5 is still the top of the range, though. And the ES hasn't actually started. Which means that it could do anything. I probably should have tried to take the one there and then see if I can get back in when the E-mini volatility starts. There's one more piece of news today, right? It is, yes, at 7:45, there's PMI. Or have a rich, beautiful, smoking hot wife who makes a boatload. Okay, there you go. I guess that answers the question, right? Wait, what does she do? Oh. My wife works, she's a flight attendant. But probably couldn't just live off of that, unfortunately. Okay, so the first impulse in the E-mini is down. It was quite a strong one, too. Oh, she's all that except rich. She's not rich, huh? Oh. I mean, I should have done so I, you know, I got married, and then my first wife kind of was a little impulsive and decided to leave randomly one day. So then, I went on a long dating spree there for that 2 years, 2 years. And that was when I said to myself, I was like, I should find a rich girl and just marry a rich girl. But it never happened. I only met one girl that really had no, I saw what you said there, Ace. And you know what? It is 100% a thing, because all the time. Okay, I probably shouldn't talk about this, but I will tell you, with her first husband, because he was a pilot, and and he had same-sex attraction. Let's call it that. And basically the whole time that they were married, he was sleeping with guys behind her back, and using, that he was a pilot and he could go out and meet people in other cities and stuff like that. That was kind of how he was doing it. It was like, yeah, super crazy. So I'm fully aware of the what is the risks and unique challenges of being married to somebody in the it's okay. I thought it was funny. But she's good, and most of the time she only does local social. Like, she'll go out and come back, and she's there that night, and it's not a problem. Yeah. Plus, she's just not that kind of person. The pool of rich LDS girls is kind of thin. Yeah. Well, you would think that you could at least marry a girl that maybe she herself is not rich, but her family is rich, and they would help you out at some point. But just never worked out. I ran into one girl that she was a widow and she had some assets, but not that I cared about that. But I do remember thinking, like, you know what, I could just move into her house, and I would keep working, of course, but be pretty comfortable, and she'd be able to do everything that she wanted. Like, the gears were turning, like, this would work out really well. But we just weren't matched up right emotionally, unfortunately. Then they own your butt. Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, that's always been the thing, because doing this streaming, on occasion I will have people that will kind of say, hey, I could be really, really generous and just give you a ton of cash, and I don't want that, because one, I want to prove that you can do it on your own, because you can't. If I was successful, then people would just say, yes, but you got lucky and you did this that we can't. I need to be able to do it in a way that anybody could have done it. But then number two is that then it's like, it's not yours. It's like you said, then they own you, which I don't like. Yeah. It ended up working out in the end. The thing that so the E-mini is moving up, and they're pushing this 15.5. I may need to puke here.
Services PMI up 54.6 expected against bar of 57. Bar reading.
I think I did end up being right that we're dependent on the E-mini for movement, though. My scenario must be obscenely unique. Yeah, maybe. I mean, you gotta think, like, 95% of traders are unsuccessful. So then you look at that top 5%. How did they actually have the assets to get started? I'm going to bet that a really good portion of those were people that just had money because of family, I remember, what is his name? Anthony, I think. He does that podcast for the CME. I'm talking about mitigating trading with my marriage. Yeah, so here was the thing with getting married, because there was this one girl that I really, really liked. And I mean, I really, the gears were turning. I really wanted to be with this girl. And during the time that I knew her, it was really quite stable. Like, I would talk to her every day, and I was like super, super happy. And then, oh, I left a grocery store job to trade. Wow, yeah. Okay, yeah. Anyways, and then one day she just kind of disappeared. Like, I would talk to her every day, and then it was like she was too busy to talk to me all of a sudden. And of course, I'm kind of, at the time, and still a little bit, but not nearly as much, partly because of the medication, and partly because I'm in a stable relationship now, is like made me super anxious. It made me super, super anxious. And, you know, I knew that I was looking for somebody that was like very emotionally stable, but I didn't realize at the time that like people can switch, you know? And so, you know, overall, I don't think that me and that girl would have been well matched. Of course, I can't know for sure, because I never really got to really get into it and figure out what was really going on. But then I met the girl that I married, is probably the most emotionally stable person I've ever met. And you know, the only reason that we actually got together was because, well, not got together, but what happened was we thought we were just going to be friends because we lived so close to each other. And then it kind of turned into we were hanging out every day, and then it, you know, just kind of happened from there. And it was the right thing, because I think I might have just discarded it because I was looking for something exciting or something like that. But really, it was the boring that really was what I needed. And then once you'd actually gotten over that hurdle, it actually turns out it's not so boring. I kind of look at it like trading ZN. Like, people always overlook ZN because it doesn't really move, and they want the thing that moves. You know, it seems like it's boring. And a lot of people say, well, that's not necessarily me or my personality or whatever it is. But once you start really trading it, you might find that, you know what, ZN is actually really exciting, because you're not necessarily just looking for ticks. You're looking for a change in the level 2, and the level 2 is always changing. I like that you married your best friend like me. Hopefully it wasn't the same girl I married over, unless your wife is named Melissa. Probably not. Plus, it would be really hard for her to drive all the way from Centerville all the way down to where you are in Alpine every day. Oh, so we got a comment here on Twitch. I saw this meme where a guy lost 4 million. Oh yeah, well, there was a guy, wasn't 4 million, but there was a guy this week that posted a good several $100,000 losses in options. And I was looking in the comments. I'll tell you, here's the one thing that if I've seen in trading, that if you're trading, you should never do. Straight up, never do it. Never sell uncovered options. Yep, that's the one. If you are selling options, you need to own the stock. Period. Because what happens is you are now open to unlimited losses. And the reason that they do it is because if volatility is high,
magazine.
yeah, then there was that hedge fund guy who couldn't steer his boat. Was that the one? Oh no, I think that was different. Did you see that video where the guy like apologized to his investors? It's like, oh, we're family, and we weren't able to. I look at that video, and I'm like, no, it wasn't just like you weren't able to steer this boat. You were doing something fucking stupid, dude. So let me explain how this happens. So when volatility is high, which is like when the stock market is like falling apart, options are more expensive. So if you think that the stock market is going to recover, normally with options you would buy calls. But if you buy calls, what's going to happen is, yes, you're going to make money on it as the stock market rises, but you're going to lose money on it as volatility goes down. So the money play is you sell the options. So you sell puts, and then you're making money off of the volatility going down and on the market going in your direction. So that's what these people do, is they start selling options even though they don't own the stock. And then when the stock market goes down for another plunge, they are exposed to unlimited losses. Unlimited losses. And that's where you get these situations where people have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in options.
Again, the reading 5.0, prior 55.3. Services PMI 54.6 against prior 50. PMI prior off.
I watched one season of Billions. I'm ready. Let's go. If you were to make another trade, I'd go short at 26.27. So what do you see it at right now? Because right now I see it at 26.31. And it's starting to look a little bit bullish, although the treasuries are still holding. Yeah, I mean, the thing that I never realized, or I mean, I guess I know that people said it out there, but I just didn't believe it until I started doing this, is that a lot of people that get involved in the markets really don't know what they're doing. Oh, when it comes back, okay. I see what you're saying. You're like, you would stop into it. That might be. I think I actually kind of like that idea. But I like it mostly because it just looks like that treasuries are holding here. Treasuries appear to want to buy. I can see here that the absorption, it's the stacking and pulling has been blue across the board for quite some time here. And it's just, there's a little bit of liquidity above us that could flip very quickly. And if the E-mini hasn't moved up that much, so if the sellers come in again, and the cumulative delta since the open has been negative, so if the sellers make another push, I think we really could see something. And if they do make another push, it could very quickly spiral out of control. Okay, well, they just puked while I was saying that, so I guess that's that.
1 minute.
So did a piece of news hit there? Let's see. Let's look at Twitter.
GDP 10% prior reading of.
Okay, that might have been why. That little puke there, I think, kind of kills the whole go long thing.
Expand.
I think for me to want to go long now, I would have to see like a complete flip in the book.
10 seconds to go.
I actually think what may have happened there was that whoever was buying that triggered me to buy might have just puked.
53.9 from the manufacturing PMI at services, 53.4. Well, composite PMI 3.6. Up over that, there was the manufacturing PMI 53.9, expected at 55.0 on the services, and below expectations at 53.4. Well, the composite PMI at 53.6.
Thing that sucks about stop runs is they almost always come back.
Breakdown there. The services sector flash PMI, it was the lowest since January 2018. The flash composite PMI was again the lowest since May 2017.
Stop
employment
down,
index for
yeah.
the composite reading at the lowest since June 2017 at 53.2.
Well, that was some reasonable buying there in the mini, but they still haven't beaten out like critical levels. Right, but he didn't take that trade. See, the E-mini is still pushing. I was wondering maybe it's going to be like yesterday where, somebody pukes and then it actually ends up moving up. I think as long as the E-mini continues to buy here, and at this point I think that you might see some short covering. So I don't think that I'd want to go long here.
Find one.
Now, here's an opportunity maybe to go short. I'm not quite sure if that's exactly the price that I want, though. There you go. Maybe improve, but this is the definition of what I call bad action. This is currently the worst kind of action you can see for trading. The ES is thin, and treasuries are going back and forth based on a few auto orders here and there. At least when it's dead, you can see it's dead, and there's no volatility, so you just don't get anything. This kind of action is the type where traders can get suckered into playing and enjoy a day of being whipsawed out of money for hours on end. That was a tweet by John Grady. Yeah. I'm still kind of stalking it to see if I can get a twofer here, but this idea that we're gonna get a really strong like this is gonna turn into a strong move has kind of been dashed here. So you are kind of getting a sell price here, but nothing in the order flow supports it. So here's the E-mini is turning. Now they're gonna give me the trade, huh? $12.5 is no longer a price that I can buy, but oof. 120 maybe. But not 12.5. 12 even, but not 12.5. I don't know. Sure does look like it's they're kind of whipsawing you around. I do, but the thing that is really sticking out to me right now is that the E-mini peaked, had completed a swing there, and that swing did not result in a new high in cumulative delta.
Seven.
So I think that some people went short there on the open, and they may have held through that whole thing potentially. If we start going down, you're going to have some very upset longs. E-mini shoots up equal. I'm just looking at this right here. Well, I'll mark it. This level right here. They did not beat out what was the open right here. So if they get below the open price, I think you could see a little bit more selling coming in. I was eyeballing this 24 in ZB, but it's the second test down, so I'm going to wait for 16. Well, you think it's going to go all the way down to 16, huh? I mean, if it's going to go all the way down to 16, I want to sell it, but maybe not here. Okay, so there's the E-mini finding some support at around 2630. You can kind of see the level 2 reacting to it as well. Curious. Back here. 30, yeah. So all this white down here isn't actually there anymore. You just can't see it because the E-mini hasn't traded through those prices. Okay, so now it's giving us 15 or 11 halves. Where did I get 15? It's 11 half. 115. Why is your E-mini so slow? You might be looking at December. So it seems to me that December is still actually having quite a bit of action. Because this is a little bit slow for the E-mini. There you go. They're pushing up for a new high. And now you're gonna get a good 1,000 or so shorts. They're gonna have to puke here. Hmm.
Just a heads up then, and just on the release of that. Remind starting production is expected by
Hmm. Well, I kind of thought I would sell at 13.5 was the price to sell, but there wasn't really support for it. Well, after it pulled off from it, they certainly did go red, but I don't know. I'm still not necessarily seeing something that really makes me want to take a trade. You notice that we traded through this liquidity in the 5-year, and now it's kind of just settled back to where it was. We are getting quite a bit of trend going on here. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we move down to the 07 area. Could happen.
1 minute.
So here's a big order in the 10-year now. I also have to say, don't let the fact that it's moving quite a bit fool us into thinking that it's good trading action per se. Because when we were up there, it wasn't. I only said that because of price. But just because a trend came out of it doesn't mean that the order flow is really good read.
Spot 6%. Spot 6% for the has been spot 2%. Right.
Everybody's kind of acting a little weird.
US versus September.
I traded into 10. Backed off. Funnily enough, the top story on r/politics right now is Dow is set to drop more than 250 points amid rising fears over global growth. Sure doesn't look negative to me right now. Change.
Michaels. Disorderly. Michael. Merkel's. Okay, so fusions can.
I'm kind of thinking maybe there is some reason to think that the E-mini is going to come down a little bit, but I don't know if you can buy it here at 11.5. It was down at 10.5. Maybe it was a reasonable buy. You can actually see when it came down that the liquidity increased, and so it was a buy. Hmm.
Tom. My Tommy. Keeping an eye.
So the E-mini very easily made a new high there, and treasuries are still kind of down at the bottom. Or rather, sorry, E-mini made a new high, treasuries didn't make a new low. But they're really kind of more in the middle of this range now. There's actually big numbers going through here. I mean, not big numbers, but reasonable amount of stuff. Oh, I didn't see that the E-mini was going to go up. So it's still saying that. I don't know. I'm honestly not terribly impressed by what the E-mini is doing right now. Like, what I don't see this. Granted, they've had runs and everything, but this is. Oh dear. Does that mean that it's new? Well, it's making me. This is going to be weird. Anyways, the E-mini looks like it's just retracing the overnight move. It's not doing something like super huge yet. I am kind of seeing. Well, I don't think that 110 is the right. Well, I guess it probably could. I mean, this continues to be negative, so I'm thinking that the trend may continue. Yeah. Because there's 16 below us in ZB. I mean, we talked about that earlier. There's also 15 below us in the 5-year. So there actually are some numbers below us.
Illusion.
The rip illusion, so they think the backstop is fine and that people are just misinformed. I see that big order there that the E-mini is kind of bouncing off. It was kind of part of my thesis. So now the E-mini may still go down and get it. But right now, when those orders come up down here, they've been running away from it.
Saying is
Hmm. Nope. Ironic. We got to pull back. And I waited for them to kind of show that they were going down again. And it goes against me. And the E-mini does start going down. Now it's back to 12.5 where I tried going long. I think I kind of goofed up on price there. Where did the birds go? Well, they're in the other room. They're actually still asleep, I think. It's being pretty quiet right now. When they wake up and when, the kids are here, but their kids are at their dad's house, but when they come down for school and take things off, take the sheets off of the cages and everything, you'll hear them. They're pretty freaking loud. Pretty freaking loud. Awful, awful, awful trade. But I guess this is crappy action. Watch it flip around here now. Well, now the bid is pushing really strongly. See, this was kind of more of the move that I was waiting for originally with this one at 12.5. So it kind of pisses me off. Granted, you're only plus one tick. And there is the 14 there, holding it back. Which isn't to say that it's not going to go through, but it's not a super great risk reward area to buy. You know, the thing that sucks is that when the days that I'm wrong literally every time. See, I bought and sold, and I was wrong every time. Because it's in the rangy action, and then it does the opposite of what I think it is. Like the market could specifically be targeting me, it wouldn't be any worse. And of course, the idea that it's doing that right now is ridiculous because it's a semicount and everything, but come on. Come on. This is just kind of... I'm not going to take another one because it is 8:30. That went by quickly. Well, it's hard to say if Swisso was right or wrong about anything because he didn't necessarily specify specific levels. That's kind of how people fuck with you in chat, right? Because he could have said, "Oh, I was just waiting for the move from 2635 to 2640," and then he did say that he got out, didn't he? So I'm not so sure that it's accurate to say that he was wrong. I was wrong because I thought that they were going to attempt to push through 10, and they did not. And I gave it way too much risk. Well, it wasn't that I gave it way too much risk. I wanted to get out of that at -2, but it went so fast. If I had wanted to do that, I should have moved the stop there because, you know, it was only there for a few seconds and then it went. And it's really frustrating because what the E-mini is doing right now is what I came in here thinking it was going to do. The very beginning, 2 hours ago, almost 2 hours exactly ago, I said, I kind of see a case for bears to come out and really try and sell this thing, and that could really push us up. And so I was buying at 12.5 and even 14. And now that it's, you know, I've already hit my limit for the day, now it's doing it. Man. It's just whenever it's a Friday or it's a slow day, that's exactly how they get me. And it doesn't seem to matter which way I try to do it, or like I can completely switch strategies, they'll still get me on a day like today. And I don't understand why. How is that able to happen? Because it's almost literally every trade. Literally every trade. Yeah, you cannot always win. So now you're running into situations where, okay, the E-mini may have pivoted there. So maybe they're going to move up now. But can you really trade that? Like, you want to go short at 13 here? I mean, my edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's just, we're going to try it. Swiss does say that he realized it and closed it. I see it. The edge says that it should turn around here for at least a few ticks. We'll see if it goes against it. Not good for both sides, but okay. I think, though, the comments that I'm hearing over the wire today kind of indicate to me that the Europeans are starting to get a little concerned, because they're trying to talk the deal up now. They're trying to explain to them, like, you should just go with the deal is good and you should just go along with it, because they really are worried about the no-deal Brexit now. Now, if that fails and British really does push for the no-deal Brexit, wouldn't be surprised if maybe some Europeans say, hey, actually, you know how we said that this was the best deal that we can get and that's it? Well, we were, maybe we can work something out now. You watch. If it goes that way. So I guess the other way that they could screw me over is they could say, oh, you think that you should get filled at 13? Well, no, we're not going to fill you. I'm not going to do it at 12.5. The spot is 13. Sure enough, like they're stacking at 12.5. Fuck. Well, there was my trade. +3. I should put the Dom.
Possibility second sense seeks to block off. So not ready. There's no plan B. Support of the that's needed.
What's going on here?
Radical satisfied.
I should just I should have a second DOM on the other screen that just does the opposite of everything that I say on a slow day like this. On a slow day. And then because it's literally fucking the opposite every time. At some point you have to sit down and be like, you know what? That's just a little bit too coincidental. Maybe I'm really not doing like I felt like I was trading range bound, but perhaps I really wasn't. I think that that's the best explanation that's going on here is that I really wasn't trading my strategy the way that I thought I was. Because I did take the 13 really was truly a reversal. Like a trying to trade a range bound. And that one would have worked. And now here at 11, I think that you would buy. Have some time, so I'm just going to do it. I think you buy 11 and a half. Because that's where it's stopping based on the level 2 in the 5-year. Let's see. Depends really on if the E-mini decides to careen down for another low or not.
Articles. Saying this mandate Frank Sydney. Mandate.
Okay.
More. cost effective.
Okay, well, that's not what's supposed to happen. That's not what's supposed to happen. I think that there's some talking going on now. It should be the title of a trading book. That's not supposed to happen. Right. It's not a disaster yet, but that was not what I was expecting.
Young.
The thing is, you can't control if that thing is going to happen. The only thing you can control is what you do after it happens. Do you get out right there? Sometimes you need to get out right there. Sometimes there's a reason you should hold it.
Excellent.
Level 2 is playing games. Probably they're gonna buy the E-mini up super strong here now just to piss me off. Probably. Man. I really thought that the action was getting better because we had that move up and then move down, but when I look at what's going on in the E-mini right now, and I'm like, ugh. Why? Hmm. Sweep up.
Right, can
A Brexit summit, huh? That sounds like fun. Yeah? Get together all your buddies from the EU, all your world leaders, have some good food.
right, can you
Sounds like a good party. They should do it. I hope they do it. We can all watch on television. Oh, come on. That's not supposed to happen. It comes right back just as fast. Oh, no, wait. I think my DOM just reset, that's all. Do you ever try grains? You know, I haven't. I've pulled up corn before, but I don't really try the grains. So, what caused that? Not quite sure what caused that. So I'm seeing the robots fiddle with the level 2 at 10.5 in a way that I have never seen before. It's like really twitchy. Almost as if maybe somebody is pulling and somebody else is stacking at the same time. It's not doing it anymore, but it was doing it there for a bit. That was it was really weird.
Continuing.
Mm-mm.
Saying make sized. Saying
Okay, so here's the question. What did we just learn there? I'd tell you what we just learned. The world is not against us. That's my takeaway from that one right there. This market looks incredibly random to me. I think that ECB's Draghi told EU leaders there is continuing confidence with increasing caution. I think that was why the EMA moved the way that it did. And it may have been a Twitter robot taking the trade the wrong way. Think about it. If you were a robot, the words that you would pick up on would be confidence and increasing. But caution would not necessarily be something that is a word that's used super frequently by them, by central banks. So if you were a Twitter robot and you took a trade off of that, there's a possibility that you might have taken it the wrong way. Just a theory, but Sellers just got filled to go down to 08. That's what we just. You think so, huh? So the problem that I have with that assertion is that it looks to me like in this area that the cumulative delta has been mostly flat, and we've traded across this area both ways. Anyways, I think that if there was anybody out there that wanted to go either long or short in the treasuries, has had ample opportunity to do it at these levels. And so I can't say that it was that one side got filled or the other did. Now, the last impulse was in favor of the buyers, but we don't know what the future demand is necessarily going to be. It's just a calculated risk that I'm taking that the risk reward is correct here, and the E-mini is positioned for to move down. Well, I think it's important to point out the algos because I think in general, when you see something that is clearly an algo, I think generally speaking, you want to ignore those. Yeah. Well, it's because it's my room and I can talk about whatever I want. Well, yeah, part of it is also, okay, so there's the move that I want. Anyways, I think that people have a tendency to see something that the algo does and want to make a trade off of it. And so I'm always trying to point out, okay, that's an algo. You know, that buy up at the top was if that was an algo on a Twitter robot and it was wrong, then you ignore it. Because that algo is, you know, the price is likely to come back on them. Might even go the other way because we know that it was an algo. Now, the one exception to that is if you see a buy or sell program, because that means that an institution wants to buy or sell a large portion of something, and it's large enough that they feel that it's better to use the robot to do it. Because that's how we did it. That's how they did it at Goldman. So they had something, they said, I want to buy 30,000, and they just let it go. And it would just buy until it's bought 30,000 contracts. And it's going to try and do it without affecting the market. But I think you got to be aware of those ones. Cannot recognize that they're just too fast for the eye. I don't agree with that. I think that the algos are, some of the algos are designed to try and to be seen by humans and cause reactions. But that's just like, it's likely to cause the wrong reaction in you. Okay, so maybe an iceberg at 11.5. Nope. Nope, they traded through it. Well, I did kind of get what I wanted, but it's still a break even. And I'm looking to get at least this. Okay, so something actually traded into 12 now. E-mini is starting another bear push. Nope, not yet. What about Buds? I don't know if that's a joke or not. I don't know what he means. David 23.
Sways. Practicing.
Hmm. I don't know if I would say it's act. It's very rare that you recognize them. Like, I think that there are orders that go through that I'm pretty positive are robots. But you don't know what he's doing. You know? So you can't necessarily make a trade off of it, but you can identify that it's a robot. So what I'm seeing at the moment is a little bit more market selling, but price still holding. E-mini not moving. Level 2 just playing lots of games. So flipping a lot. Yeah, the algos are going on at every price for sure.
Final numbers.
Your tools are great for what order flow has happened, but what do you think initiates the original large orders? I mean, it can be a lot of things. So one of the things that we watch a lot is these block buys and sells. There are some of those that I actually do believe are large algorithms. And it's kind of funny to see when one of those come through, the market almost always pauses there, and even kind of will try and fight against him for a little bit to see if he's serious or not. But this is the thing that I always just keep saying is that, like, or spreads, yeah. Order flow only tells you past supply and demand. It doesn't tell you future supply and demand. That's the problem, because it can only tell you half of the thing. If you knew both, you could be right every time. You could do both, you could be right every time. But since we don't, you're only going to be right like half of the time, because you only have half of the information, right? We know that about 6,000 to 7,000 people have taken trades here, both long and short, because there's two sides. But in the next 5 minutes, are there going to be more buyers than sellers? We don't know that for sure. We just kind of have some indications that, at least I believe, that there are some indications that there might be more buyers in the near future than sellers. Yep, it's the chicken or the egg question, really. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. I mean, I focus on that because to me, it's like I like the fighting game analogy. So in fighting games, there's this mind game. Like we'll talk about, like, one of the things is when there's something they call okazemi, which is like if you hit somebody and they fall on the ground, then there's a whole game about what do you do on the wake up. So based on which attack you think the opponent is going to go for when they wake you up, depends on how you should react to it. So if you think that they're going to go for the vertical attack when you're on the ground, then you want to roll to the side so that they miss you. You know, there's a bunch of different scenarios, but there are mix-ups where a character can have a move that chains into two moves, and the way that you guard the two different options are different. So half of the time, statistically speaking, half of the time, that move is going to hit you. But there's like always trade-offs. Like one move does more damage, the other move is more safe, right? And so people will have a tendency to go for one or the other based on their own preferences. But it's still random, right? And so trading is the exact same way. It's a mix-up. If I'm a big guy and I want to buy a lot of contracts, there are two ways that I can do it. I can sit on the bid and push the market into me to get myself filled, or I can start buying it up with market orders. And there are advantages and disadvantages to both, right? If you're sitting on the bid, there's a possibility that once you get filled and they go through you, that the market creates momentum and continues to go against you, and you're immediately in the hole. So that's the disadvantage to that one. But the advantage to it is that the market really can't see what you're doing. Like, it's much, much harder for people to see you getting in passively with limit orders, right? The advantage of doing it aggressively is that you're going to create momentum in your favor as you take that trade, but everybody can see it, right? And so that's the mix-up. So you have to look at it like if you're getting more than, if you're going for like 4 ticks and you're getting better than 50%, then you're fucking lucky, because really it's a 50-50 mix-up. You know what I mean? And there's a whole meta to it. There's a whole meta to it because you'll go through a time period where the large institutions kind of almost have to use the market orders because they're panicked or whatever it is. And then all of the algorithms and everything starts trading based off of that. And so when people start following that enough, then there becomes an incentive to do the other one, to mess you up. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just like the flipper. I mean, I think the flipper is actually maybe a little bit slightly different, but it's the same kind of idea. Like the flipper is all about like just create total chaos so that nobody knows what's going to happen. That's why they want to be close to the exchanges, yeah. You just always got to think of it as a mix-up, because it's really a meta game. So if you want to be consistently profitable, I think that you have to understand the metagame of it. I think that the metagame context today was that we had some decent moves this week, but it's Friday, and Friday always tends to be more range-bound. The E-mini is switching contracts right now, so the liquidity over there in the E-mini is not as good. And we're coming into the second half of December. So there's lots of reasons to think that the volatility in the market is going to go down. Ergo, probably the bigger guys are slightly more likely to try and get it in passively. And that's why when we're down here, 4,681 contracts sold, but the iceberg held it. And even though there was 3,000 on this other side, ultimately the buyer was bigger and we moved up. So they were doing it passively. They were using limit orders. Order flow is the moment. Yeah, if you are on the highway and you see cars slow down, then what do? Then you brake, you react at that moment. Flipping does not exist anymore. You cannot win it anymore unless you are an algo. Yeah, so Mars, by the way, let me add you to the regulars group, Marson, so you can post pictures. I have to run here in a second. I've seen this year, I think I've seen the flipper twice, maybe. And there is an argument, there could be, in those cases, in those instances, I think that there could be an argument made that it wasn't really a flipper. Now, the one that I remember very, very clearly, and I'll tell you this because we could go back in the videos and find it, was that there was a day early in the year when they first broke, when they broke new lows for the year. Like, it went down really aggressively in like January, February, and then we pulled back. And then later in the year, we went lower. And when they went lower and they first went below that key 3% level or whatever it was that everyone was looking at, there was a flipper. And it was like really fucking obvious. This guy puts this huge order down at the bottom out of nowhere. And then we went down to go and touch it. And he pulled it and we went down. We went down, 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 down. And that one is like, I'm pretty sure that people reported that one to the exchange because that was like a real flipper. Like, I think, I believe, I don't know for sure, but I think that was probably somebody doing something illegal there. Doing a flipper, because you're not supposed to flip. But it happens. But then I also agree with Swissout, because it's the problem with the flipper today is that when it happens, like, you know that there's a trade there, but it's still that same mix-up. You don't know if the flipper is going to pull his order or if that liquidity is going to hold in it. We're going to bounce off of it. And a lot of people get involved, so it turns it into a high-risk proposition. And so you don't want to take it, like, if you see the order there, you don't want to take a trade just based on saying we're gonna bounce off of it or we're gonna go through it. You need to see something else that tells you that you have a high probability. If it was that easy, you could just look at volume per second, then trade when it slows down. Never that easy. Well, yeah, this is the kind of way I don't like when people say just trade what you see, or, you know, it's not that simple, right? Because for starters, what you see might not actually be reality, right? And then the second thing is that really, to make a good trade, it's really not necessarily what you see is so much as it is when you see that something is about to change or is likely about to change, you know? Whether that change is that the momentum is about to completely flip, or that the momentum is about to increase and you're going to get a continuation. What I'm telling is not flipping. Well, what I'm talking about is what is my understanding of the trade John Grady talks about in his online course that he calls the flipper. And the trade is that you will come up to a level and you will see a large order show up out of nowhere that is highly unusual. Like if all of a sudden we saw 9K on the DOM. And then when you get to the price, it almost all pulls. That's the flipper. That's what we're calling the flipper. I think that's what Marcin probably meant when he was talking about the flipper too. But now the flipper, like that guy, the flipper, that's what he would do. But he would do it both ways. So what was all of a sudden you would see like multiple big ones stacking and pulling. And so it was complicated. You didn't know which way it was actually going to do. He's just creating chaos until he gets the thing that he wants and then he pushes it. Super. I'm glad that I think that the exchange is right to ban that kind of behavior, but well, you know what? I'm really surprised that we got to 13 and that we formed a zipper there. Not that there was not like there was some probability that it was going to go through it or not, but I'm just surprised that I knew 3 ticks from here was the spot to get out, and I got it, and I predicted it so accurately. Anyways, I am like way past my time, so I will talk to you guys on Monday. Well, okay, it's spoofing. Yeah, I mean we call that spoofing too. I call it the flipper. You know, the other thing that I will see is when somebody flips the book, and that's a slightly different thing. Like that one we saw yesterday, that was really odd. Anyways, I gotta go. I will talk to you guys Monday, and next week is probably gonna be really shitty trading. I'm just warning you right now. The later on into the month, December, unless the market starts doing crazy stuff, like there's a really strong end of year rally, or they decide to have a panic. Otherwise, though, that second half of December is really shitty. And then if I don't see you guys, do not trade after Christmas. Between Christmas and New Year's, I forbid you from trading. You will lose money. I guarantee. Do not do it. If you do make money, you're lucky, and you were doing something stupid. I mean, you can use your own definition, Swizzo. That's just what I call it. So, you know, there's no textbook out there that says this is the definition of this, and there's no regulation that says this is what a flipper is or anything like that, right? You're just using slightly different terms from me. But what I call a flipper it involves a spoof. Yes. Anyways, later.